Does your cat absolutely lose their mind and sprint across the house right after using the litter box? They aren't just feeling lighter, they are performing an ancient survival tactic to throw invisible predators off their scent. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's driving that sprint and what it quietly reveals about how your cat experiences every single day. Chapter 1. The Vulnerability Relief. You've seen it 100 times. Your cat ducks into the litter box, does their business, and then they explode out of it. Full sprint, down the hallway, around the corner, gone. Most people laugh. Some people film it. Almost nobody asks why. Here's what's actually happening in that moment. The litter box is the most dangerous place in your cat's entire world. Not because anything in it is threatening, but because of what it forces them to do. Crouch, stay still, focus completely inward. For 30, sometimes 60 seconds, your cat is physically unable to monitor their environment. They can't run, they can't scan, they can't respond to a threat. For an animal whose survival has always depended on being ready, that is genuinely terrifying. Animal behaviorists who study feline stress have observed that cats show measurable physiological changes during elimination. It is the kind of arousal state that belongs to prey animals, not predators. Your cat's nervous system isn't treating the litter box as a routine task. It's treating it as a window of exposure. A moment where something could have crept up behind them. And the sprint? That's the exit. The release. The body burning off 30 seconds of held adrenaline, the only way it knows how. Think about the last time you felt genuinely startled, that chest-tight, breath-catching second before you realized you were fine. Now imagine your body chemistry did that every single time you used the bathroom. Every single day. That sprint is relief. Pure, physical relief. But there's a layer underneath this that most people never reach. And it connects directly to something in Chapter 4 that'll completely reframe why some cats sprint harder than others. For now, the relief explains the speed, but not the direction. Chapter 2. The Scent Decoy. Here's something most cat owners never connect. Your cat doesn't just sprint away from the litter box, they sprint away from their own smell. And once you understand why, you'll never watch that frantic little run the same way again. Scent is a signal. In the wild, the smell of elimination is one of the clearest biological broadcasts a prey animal can send. It says, "I was here. This is where I was most exposed. This is where I was most catchable." A cat that lingers near that signal isn't just uncomfortable. They're advertising a location to anything that might want to find them. So the sprint isn't random, it's misdirection. Your cat is physically separating themselves from the source of that scent as fast as possible, putting distance, corners, rooms between their body and the place that smells like them at their most vulnerable. Quick question. Does your cat meow loudly while they're running? Maybe a sharp single call right as they leave the box? That's not excitement. That's something older. In colonies of cats living outdoors, researchers observing social feline groups have noted that one cat vocalizing after elimination can draw attention toward the scent site. It draws attention away from the individual running. It's a decoy behavior. The sound says, "Something happened over there. The cat is already somewhere else." Your indoor cat has no predators, but the program is still running. The software is still installed, and it fires every single time they use that box, whether they're in a studio apartment or a farmhouse. The scent is the vulnerability. The sprint is the escape. And the meow? That's them playing every card they have. If this is changing the way you see your cat, it would mean a lot if you hit like. It helps other cat owners find this too. Chapter 3. The vagus nerve stimulation. There's a specific name for what your cat experiences inside that litter box. And when you hear it, the sprint stops being funny and starts being one of the most fascinating things your cat's body does. It's called post-elimination euphoria, and it's real. The vagus nerve runs from the brainstem all the way down through the chest and into the abdomen. It governs things like heart rate, digestion, and the body's transition between tension and calm. Animal physiologists studying feline autonomic responses have observed that the act of elimination activates the vagus nerve. Specifically, the physical pressure and release involved produces a rapid, measurable neurological shift. Tension, then release, then a flood. Not just relief, something closer to a brief, involuntary wave of calm that moves through the entire nervous system at once. Here's the human equivalent. You know that moment right after a long exhale when your shoulders drop without you deciding to drop them? That involuntary release your body does when it finally stops bracing? That's vagus nerve activity. That's your parasympathetic system saying, the threat has passed. Your cat gets a version of that every time. The sprint comes immediately after that neurological wave, which is exactly why it looks like pure, unbothered joy. Because for about 4 seconds, it is. The body just fired a burst of neurochemical release, and the legs are the first thing that responds. Between 2 and 4 a.m., when cats do most of their elimination, that burst hits a nervous system that's already primed for activity. Same route, same sprint, same exit, every night. It's not chaos, it's chemistry. And in Chapter 5, you'll see exactly how to use this to support your cat without ever interrupting the process. But first, you need to understand when that same sprint stops being euphoria entirely. Chapter 4, the dirty box flea. What you've probably been calling the zoomies after the litter box. Sometimes it has a completely different name in your cat's language. Be honest. When did you last fully clean the litter box? Not scoop clean, because here's what your cat cannot tell you in words, but has been communicating with their body every single day. A dirty box changes everything about that sprint. When the litter is saturated, when the smell is already overwhelming, before they even step in, your cat's stress response doesn't just activate during elimination. It activates the moment they approach. They're already bracing before they crouch, already scanning before they finish. And when they leave, they aren't sprinting from instinct. They're sprinting from disgust, from distress, from a place that felt wrong the entire time they were in it. Animal behaviorists have noted that avoidant sprinting looks almost identical to post-elimination euphoria from the outside. The cat leaves the box faster than usual, shakes their paws, or refuses to cover. Same speed, same direction, completely different internal state. Think back to the hook. The sprint as survival, the sprint as ancient wiring. Now imagine that same behavior, except the cat isn't experiencing relief, they're experiencing the opposite. The sprint that should feel like escape from imagined danger is now escape from real discomfort. The box isn't a place they recovered from, it's a place they endured. Your cat has one way to leave that box. Fast. Whether they're euphoric or miserable, the exit looks the same, which is why what you'll learn in Chapter 5 isn't just practical advice. It's the difference between a sprint that means I'm okay and a sprint that means please help me. So now that you understand why, here's how. Chapter 5, the constipation red flag. This next part is why I wanted you to stay, because most cat owners see the sprint, assume it's the zoomies, and move on. And in doing that, they miss one of the clearest pain signals their cat can send. When a cat is constipated or experiencing any discomfort during elimination, they don't slow down afterward, they speed up. The sprint after a painful or incomplete bowel movement is longer, more erratic, and often accompanied by something specific. They stop mid-sprint, not to play, not to reset. They stop, crouch slightly, and then continue. Veterinarians refer to this as post-elimination restlessness, and it looks almost identical to the euphoric sprint, except for that pause, that micro-crouch, that moment where the body is still trying to finish something the box didn't let them complete. Call it the interrupted exit. Here's what to watch for. Your cat sprints, stops within 3 to 5 feet of the box, hunches even slightly, then continues moving. Sometimes they'll return to the box within 2 minutes. Sometimes they'll vocalize once, quietly, and then go still somewhere nearby. That combination, the pause, the slight hunch, the return is your cat's body telling you the process isn't finished, or that it hurt. A cat who sprints clean, full speed, no hesitation, no stopping, no return, is almost always expressing the euphoric release. A cat who sprints broken is asking for a vet visit. Not urgently, not immediately, but soon. Within a few days, watch the pattern. If it repeats, that's the signal. The sprint is always communication. The question is just which kind. And there's one last thing, the part that ties all of this together, and the most practical thing in this entire video. That's what we're ending on. Chapter 6. The proper cleanup routine. Remember what I said at the very beginning, that the sprint is an ancient survival tactic? This is where you become part of that equation. Here's the one thing that changes everything about how your cat experiences that box, and everything that comes after it. Clean it every single day. Not every few days, not when it looks full, every day. 1 scoop, 1 minute, every 24 hours. That's it. That's the thing. But here's why it works at a level most people never think about. Your cat's scent glands are extraordinarily sensitive, far beyond what we can detect. When the litter box carries the accumulated smell of 2 or 3 days of use, your cat isn't just smelling waste. They're smelling a record of every moment they were vulnerable in that space. Every elimination layered on top of the last. To your cat's nose, a neglected box doesn't just smell bad. It smells like a place where something exposed them. Again and again and again. A clean box resets that record. Every time you scoop, you're not just removing waste. You're removing the scent history of vulnerability. You're giving your cat a box that smells neutral, safe, unoccupied by the ghost of their own exposure. Animal behaviorists have observed that cats are significantly more likely to use and exit calmly from a box that was cleaned recently. The sprint still happens, but it's shorter, calmer. The nervous system doesn't have to work as hard to leave something behind when the thing it's leaving behind is already clean. 1 box per cat, scooped daily, fully washed with unscented soap, never bleach once every 2 to 3 weeks. That's the entire routine. Nothing complicated, nothing expensive, and when you do it consistently, something shifts. Not in the box, in your cat. The sprints get lighter, the exits get easier. The body that was bracing every single time it crouched starts slowly, over days and weeks bracing a little less. Your cat isn't sprinting away from the litter box because they're happy or wild or quirky. They're sprinting because for thousands of years, that was the only way to survive what just happened. And every time you clean that box, you make that sprint a little less necessary. That is what care looks like to a cat.